Hello, beer tubers, and welcome to yet another brewery showcase with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today, I am visiting my in-laws, and I decided to go out into the bar for shooting some beer reviews. So I brought some beers to share with them, and my father-in-law especially really loves beers. He's a big IPA guy, so it'll be fun to see what he thinks of these, because, well, I think he'll like all these styles, actually, because we're doing a brewery showcase of some Korean craft beer. We're checking out Seoul Craft Brewery, or Seoul Brewery, which is the name of the brewery. They're in Seoul in Korea. And it's going to be my first Korean craft beers. Besides that, I've only had macro beers like Kess, and of course also tried soju. I have a big affinity for Korean cuisine. I've only been to Korean restaurants in Denmark. It's quite a new thing here to have them, but actually the first time I tried Korean food was in New York, where I tried Korean barbecue. But being into food, I've really explored a lot of Korean cooking. I've made my own kimchi, jjajangmyeon, tteokbokki, bibimbap. I've made bulgogi. I've made kalbi. I've made kalbi sal, I think. I've made all kinds of different Korean things and fermented and all that stuff. So I've been really into the Korean rabbit hole in terms of food. So yeah, been really down the Korean food rabbit hole. Now we're going down to the Korean craft beer rabbit hole. I don't know any Korean craft breweries besides this one, actually. So we've fun to try some. They've been in Denmark a few times, but never where you could buy their beers, I think. But these one I didn't buy in Denmark. These ones I bought on Beerdome. So thanks to Beerdome for the beers. They had a huge selection of beers from Seoul Craft Brewery. I thought it'd be fun to try some beer from parts of the world where you don't see much beer from, at least where I'm at. So let's start off with my favorite Hopfenweisse, and say a massive thank you to Beerdome for the beers. So yeah, this is a Hopfenweisse, and it is a collab with a brewery. I can't see what they're called. I think it's another Korean craft brewery. It's just got the logo here on the side. So I tried to find some info here on the beer with the help of Google. So let's dive into my favorite Hopfenweisse first. Not much info in terms of collab or anything. It just says it's a 5.2% beer, and then it's talking about banana, citrus, pleasant sweetness in terms of flavor profile and whatnot. So there's not loads of information, but let's see. I mean, Hopfenweisse signifies that this will be a hoppy Weizen, and it was a thing for a while in Germany where a lot of renowned German wheat beer brewers made Hopfenweizen, which was like Schneider, for example. And I think those kind of Weizens are pretty good. It looks to a point, though, in terms of style. It's a hazy orange color. I actually tipped the can upside down for a bit just to make sure the yeast was a little bit mixed, because I'm using small glasses today. So I wanted to make sure that the beer was a little bit hazy pouring out, because yeast in beers like this tends to drop. But looking at the description here I found online, which comes from their own website but translated into English, says that it should be a traditional kind of German-style wheat beer with citrus notes as well. So I'm guessing they're using a citrusy hop. But it looks nice in the glass. Let's check out the aroma on the Hopfenweisse from Seoul Craft Brewery. Yeah, banana, nutmeggy, clovey. It's definitely got like a sweet citrus, orange, kind of tangerine notes. It almost smells like you mixed something like, speaking of big beer though, Shock Top with a proper German wheat beer. Because there's a lot of sweet orange and citrusy notes. And definitely clove. I think banana is there for sure as well. It's not like crazy, but it's there, which is nice. I want some banana in my Hefeweizen. It smells pretty dead on for the style too. Yeah, let's try it. Cheers. Thanks to Beerdome for the beers. Not mega banana heavy on the palate, but pretty straightforward wheat beer. It's got that citrus orange flair. Yeah, it's really refreshing. It's funny, a beer like this, and this is what I kind of thought, it reminds me of the early craft beer movement in Europe and America before it became over the top, before it was smoothie sours, pastry beers, and all this. Brewers brewed a lot of things like that, like this. It's really nice though. Bubblegummy too. It's got a little bit of a sweet bubblegum, citrus, nutmeg, clove. Fluffy, wheaty body. That's actually pretty good. It's really refreshing. It's not like the very best Weizen I've ever had, but I like it. super crisp, actually. It's full-bodied, crisp at the same time because you have like a fluffiness of the wheat, doughy breadiness, but it finishes a bit dry too. So it's like a bit of both. Also, CO2 levels are high, as it should be in the style. A bit of grassiness. Good start. Very nice. I mean, nothing that's going to be mind-blowing, but if you like a good Weizen, a good wheat beer, you're going to love this. So let's move on to something I really love. So this is one of their lagers, and this is KRAFTWERK Pils. And this is 4.8%. It's a collab with Kampa Bavaria in Germany. And Kampa Bavaria is known for also creating breweries because they are the company, or it's the same company that owns Kampa Bavaria that makes Braukon brewing systems, which are very well-renowned brewing systems that are used across the globe. And they have Kampa Bavaria, where they make beers, and they make a lot of traditional stuff, but also they do dabble once in a while into modernity. So it'll be fun to try this one. Did this in collaboration, and they tried to make a traditional German Pilsner. It's brewed to a traditional step mash method, long lagering for a clean and crisp taste, and using all German ingredients. It's 25 IBUs. So not a very bitter Pils, but yeah, pours a classic Pils kind of color in the glass, a little bit of haze to it, but it's pale yellow, slightly fluffy white head. Let's check out the aroma on the KRAFTWERK Pils. Yeah, smells nice. Quite mild, peppery, little bit of crisp Pilsner malt. It doesn't have that like vibrant freshness that I love in great lagers, where you can just like, it smells super fresh and bright and freshly packaged. Like it lacks that a bit, but there is a little bit of an unctuous, rich malt on the back, doughy malt or something, doughy bready malt, and then like that light hoppiness. Yeah, it smells pretty good. You can smell that it might be brewed so that it fits a little bit with the Korean palate if you're used to drinking Korean lagers, because it's not as hoppy as some very well-known German Pilsners. Well, let's try it. Cheers. Really refreshing though. Very spicy, very peppery. Loads of black pepper, loads of spice. Super light, actually quite doughy, bready malt. It's only 25 IBUs, but it feels more bitter than it is. I'm guessing that it's because it has like this kind of rich, peppery flavor. It's a pretty refreshing Pils. I just wish it offered a little bit more than like loads of spice. I think the more I sip on it now, I'm getting a little bit of grassiness as well. But it's like really black pepper heavy, like a really black peppery Pils. It definitely feels more like a German Pils on the palate than it feels like what you're used to from Korean lagers, or just Korean, and also like I can't help but compare to Japanese lagers. They're much lighter in character. This is much more bitter, much more in line, and like much more herby and peppery and spicy, much more in line with German Pils. It's nice, but it's also not something I'm too blown away by. But it's also because I usually don't favor black pepper as being the dominant hop flavor in Pils. I want some layering effect of hops, like some fruitiness, maybe some spicy pepper, some woodiness, some citrus, some floral notes. So, but it's a nice Pils. Clean, refreshing. It's just not like top of the line. Let's move on to another lager. This is their Gold Rush California Common. And I think this was the very first beer they brewed at the brewery. There was some, was it this one? Yeah, their first beer. And it's a classic California Common, also known as steam beer, which is a lager that's fermented at higher temperatures. And to keep in line with the American theme on this one, they use Cascade, Nugget, and Chinook hops. So it's going to be kind of, I guess, tasting a little bit like a more modern lager. Oh, you can see that they've been inspired by Anchor and stuff like that. It's been a long time since I had Anchor Steam. I don't even remember the last time I had that beer. You can't even find it. Ever since the buyout, and then after that, the closure, a new restart. I'm not even sure if it's still going because I haven't followed it. you haven't seen Anchor at all in Denmark in such a long time. So I haven't had Anchor in a very, very long time. And I can't, is the steam beer, it might be a little bit paler than this. But it looks nice in the glass. It's got like a rust orange hue to it. Beige head. Let's check out the aroma on the Gold Rush. Oh, that smells really old school. That takes me way back. Takes me back to the old days of American craft with like more malty, rich, hoppy beers. It's got some grapefruit notes. It's got some like resiny notes, piney notes. And then like sticky, sweet, like crystal malt kind of aromas too. Let's try it. This smells so old money. That really takes me back to getting into craft beer like years ago. Really grapefruity, piney, pithy, zesty. A light tart note to it, like a astringent, crystal malty thing. Toffee. Yeah, this is really, really old school lager. And high bitterness too. This reminds me of American beer around 2000s. It really, really takes me back. Like if I was to make a steam beer these days, I would like modernize it a bit and maybe instead of making it heavy with crystal malts and stuff, I think I would personally enjoy it more where it's like, okay, you need some more rich malt flavor, then use some Munich malt or something like to give some oomph to it. Like go a German Pilsner route and then do the rest like a steam beer with fermentation and everything. But although it has those crystal malty notes, it's not like cloying. It's just like a preference. It has like this a little bit sugary caramel thing. And then all that grapefruit one. Yeah, very, very old school beer. So the final one here will be interesting. This is a collab with a Korean or Japanese brewery called Beer Brain. And this is APT West Coast IPA on 5.6%. And it's a West Coast IPA with American hops and then something called a Jeju citrus fruit. And apparently Jeju citrus is a mandarin orange that grows in Korea. And they use that in this. And that also takes me back to the older days of American craft beer, especially on the West Coast with like Sculpin and all the fruit versions, grapefruit Sculpin, pineapple Sculpin, habanero Sculpin even. There was a few varieties. Wow, this one is heavily carved. So yeah, the final one of the set here. Looks a bit more modern though. I mean, it's a light golden yellow color, very frothy, white head on it. Let's check out the aroma on this one if I can get to it for the head. I mean, there's pronounced citrus and pithiness. It's really mandarin heavy, but also like lemon pith. Really, really citrusy. Yeah, this is really old school West Coast, classic West Coast where there's like pack in as much citrus as you can. Citrus, zesty citrus, grapefruit, sweet citrus. Like modern West Coast IPAs are more like tropical, fruity, stone fruity, like playing around with dankness and like very different aromatics than this, where it's like super punchy on citrus fruit. This reminds me of, yeah, the old school San Diegan kind of IPAs and one of like 2010, 12, where you really had this huge focus on citrus, where like maybe one of the most exotic hops at the time you could get was Nelson. That was just started to be used more, and the guys at Alpine did Nelson for the first time and whatnot. It smells good though. Let's try it. Yeah, that's my favorite for sure. Really citrusy, really piney. Funny enough, the bitterness does not seem super intense. It's definitely bitter, but it's not like feeling as bitter as the California Common. I think that's the one that feels the most bitter of the bunch. But it could be a perceived thing because of all the citrus. But yeah, it feels also a little bit more modern on the palate because there's a slight tropical edge to it. But it's a bit generic. It doesn't feel super heavily hopped. It feels kind of like moderate hopping rates like you also did more of back in the day. And then that extra layer of citrus flavor. But it's nice. They're nice, clean beers. There's just not like any of them where I'm really blown away, but it'll be really fun. I have some more beers from them. I have a series of sours with unique Korean ingredients, which will be really fun to try. And then a wild ale in a big 750. And just to see what they can do there. I was just really intrigued with this. Like, you never see beers like this in Europe. It's really rare. So it'd be fun to check out some craft beer from this part of the world. But yeah, it's nice. And it reminds me of where like Europe was at maybe 10 years ago. With maybe a little bit modernity sprinkled into this one, because there's a slight more tropical modern West Coast thing. But they're nice. I'd say favorite is probably the West Coast IPA, maybe actually the Hopfenweisse. West Coast IPA, Hopfenweisse, Pils, and maybe I'll tie these two, Pils and Hopfenweisse, and then West Coast IPA is the best, and then my least favorite is the California Common. Just because I don't get too into crystal malty hoppy beer anymore. When you get that like sugary crystal malt caramel thing and then bitter hops, I don't like that combination as much as I did back in the day. Unless they're really fresh, then it can be banging. So in terms of grades, let's go like an 85 on the West Coast IPA. Maybe 86. And then an 84, 86, 84 on the Pils and Hopfenweisse, and then maybe like an 82 or something like that on the California Common. Good beers, but they don't really breach the 90s territory for me. So, but nice and fun to try. It'd be really fun to try the others. So if you guys had a chance to try some beers from Seoul Craft Brewery, let me know what you thought of them. Thanks a ton to Beerdome for the beers, and as always, please comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and all that social media stuff, Instagram. And I want to say cheers, they're my favorite, and see you guys at another brewery showcase or beer review.